Well, folks, that match was something, wasn't it?
For sure! Martial arts are exciting and interesting and kind of beautiful sometimes, and it's really interesting watching these experts clash in their different styles, but sometimes it's just awesome to watch a good old-fashioned brawl.
Oh, I definitely agree. For as awestruck as some of these fighters and masters leave me with their skills, there's just something about the unfiltered violence of an all-out brawl between two monster sluggers smashing into each other, neither man stopping or blocking or dropping, just power in its purest form.
Yeah, I much prefer how those two meatheads did things to all the flowery bullshit that those other fuckers are doing. Why waste time and perfectly good violence doing a bunch of stupid dance moves?
Well, I've certainly learned in my time to respect martial arts and its techniques, but I must admit, sheer power and grit is greatly underestimated and greatly underappreciated by the martial arts community, and I agree that the simplicity and efficiency make it quite appealing. Well, now that we've had our fill of unbridled power and the pure spirit of determination, I think it's time we get back to martial arts, and some of the truest, purest martial arts out there, because our next fight is a battle of Chinese martial arts.
That's right! A clash between two practitioners of the oldest codified system of martial arts in human history. This will be a battle between a mixed kung fu fighter versus a purist, a master of the old ways versus a wushu warrior who's mastered a more modern style, and of course, another battle between the Kengan Association and the Korakuin roster.
Aw yeah! This'll be a clash between kung fu, my specialty. In the White Tiger corner, hailing from the Beijing Shaolin Temple in Heilongjiang, a master of Byaku-Rinji Chinese Kempo who's dedicated his 100-year-long life to the wushu of his Baolin Temple, the master of Chinese martial arts prodigies such as the physical embodiment of Chinese martial arts Ryu Kaioh, and the first Westerner to become a Kaioh, Ryu Kaioh, a massive and powerful man despite his age, standing at around a towering 6'7" and weighing roughly 220 pounds, representing the Heilongjiang Baolin Temple, the God Warrior, Ryu the Dragon Kaioh! And not to be outdone, in the Blue Dragon corner, a one-in-a-million prodigy of the Heavenly Wolf Fist Kung Fu style, a battlefield martial arts style of Kung Fu blended with Japanese martial arts, the current head of the exceptionally powerful and world-renowned mercenary group, the Heavenly Wolves, and one of the bodyguards of the former Kengan chairman Kataharu Metsudo himself, standing at a meek but never weak 5'9" and weighing in at a modest but deceitful 161 pounds, representing his personal PMC, the Watchman, Nikaido Ren!
So that's your master, is it? Well, I can't speak for his prowess in kung fu. I can certainly attest to the fact that age only sharpens your skills. That said, I also have the personal experience to know that, while Nikaido is no fang of Metsudo, the qualifications required to be as high-level a bodyguard as Nikaido is means that this will be no easy fight for your master, be he 100 or even 1,000.
You may be right. This Nikaido young man seems to be skilled but measured, confident but not overconfident, and his experience on battlefields will certainly give him an advantage. But this isn't a battlefield, and for as strong as I am, for as peerless as my Shidong Retsu is, neither of us were ever able to defeat Shifu Ryu in sparring once. Not a single time between both of us. Both fighters take center stage. I've always admired the monks of Shaolin, and you're the spitting image of what I respect. An enlightened old master that spent his entire life achieving martial arts in its truest form. That said, you're a long way from your mountain, old man. This isn't Heilongjiang, and this isn't the Beijing Temple. This is a real fight against a guy that's fought in wars using nothing but his bare hands. I would never disrespect your years and mastery by suggesting you forfeit. However, do be aware that I intend to respect you by giving this fight my all. Defend yourself accordingly. I'd hate to make your trip back home more difficult than it need be. You seem confused, young man. Allow me to teach you, as I have with a great many others of your age, passion, and skill level. Your style, Heavenly Wolf Fist. I've heard of it, and I'm disappointed. Your progenitors found their skills in Chinese martial arts lacking, and so they attempted to cover their failings by mixing with other styles, and you carry on their legacy. In your brash youth, you pound your chest and cry out of your battlefield martial arts. Yet you forget that Shaolin is a style forged by the heat of war with a history of 4,000 years. The styles that gave birth to Byaku-Rinji were battlefield martial arts. Byaku-Rinji itself is battlefield tested, and the Baolin Temple remains standing as a testament to its storied strength. You claim to send me home? You're 100 years too early, boy. It's strange. This isn't even a karate match, but I kind of feel a sense of pride watching this. Oh, I get it. Remember that karate's roots come from Chinese martial arts. Their styles may be different, and their martial arts journeys may have gone down a different road. But to me, this always gives me the same feeling as a kid watching his dad doing something extraordinary. That's a good way of putting it. Which one do you think will win? The old man is nearly an entire foot taller and weighs almost 100 pounds more, but Nikaido is the younger of the two by quite a bit. Well, I've never put too much stock in height and weight advantage, not at our level, and not with that small of a discrepancy, but I wouldn't count it us good old boys just yet. Begin! Nikaido leaps forward from his low southern mantis-like stance and goes in for a leaping sidekick, but ever patient, Ryu dodges. Nikaido pivots and slashes Ryu's face with his nails, but Ryu counters with a beak hand strike. Nikaido manages to dodge the strike aimed for his face, but Ryu still lands on Nikaido's arm.
My arm feels numb and I no longer have full range of motion. He was aiming for the end point on the bridge of my nose, where the nose goes from bone to cartilage, probably trying to break my nose to screw with my breathing. But the second I dodged it, he instantly swapped targets to a pressure point on my bicep. This guy, he's no joke. He really is a master.
Young man, you've saved yourself for the time being, but is this truly all you have? Someone of your esteem at such a young age, it is shameful to squander such potential. I will teach you now in hopes that you have enough time left to start over. If you begin again from the basics, by the time you are my age, you may still yet be worthy of Chinese martial arts.
Their moves, it's kind of like my long style. I have to watch how they move, how they use their techniques. This could help me to be able to blend long style with my Gao style more seamlessly.
You stare intently at my master and his movements, a gaze with the look in your eye filled with hunger. Do you practice Chinese martial arts? That man is your master? Well, yeah, kinda. My grandpa taught me his own personal style when I was growing up, a style of classical jiu-jitsu with a wushu influence. But not long ago, I actually found out that our family style is an ancient style of kung fu called long style, and that's where my grandpa's style gets its Chinese influence. I've been watching this fight so intently because I've been trying to figure out how to incorporate long style to my style, and I thought watching two kung fu masters would help. Indeed, I am aware of long style. In your language, it would translate to Ryu or dragon style. Watch closely during this match. My master is quite an expert on that style, and maybe after the tournament, I could assist you in your instruction.
You do that? Why?
Anything to help the burgeoning young new generation of Chinese martial arts practitioners. Back to the fight, Nikaido again leaps in, but Ryu, maintaining focus and concentration, times Nikaido's strike and dodges it by turning away and ducking. Nikaido attempted to change the tide of the horrible beginning to the fight with a Fa-Jin strike. He figured that, with Ryu only having a gash on his face, and Nikaido already being down almost an entire limb, an extended fight from here would be a death sentence, so if he could land one singular, powerful strike, he could make up for his only having one arm in good condition by having less damage to his body and more stamina remaining. Unfortunately, Ryu's boundless wisdom was one step ahead of Nikaido and realized that, due to Nikaido's battlefield experience, he'd be aware that a battle of attrition with a disadvantage was a losing tactic, so powerful singular strikes were a better strategy. Armed with that knowledge and expecting, of course, a Fa-Jin strike, being that it's one of the most powerful singular strikes in Kung Fu's 4,000-year-old history, Ryu turned away from the incoming Fa-Jin strike, dipped his head down, and slammed a back kick right into Nikaido. Wait a second, that punch was kinda like Iron Breaker. It's like that thing that Ryu did in his fight against Nitoku. Maybe if No, I'd have to do it like this. Man, this is crazy. It's called Sunkei, or I guess the concept of the strike is called Fa-Jing or something? You interested in picking it up? What's your background? Oh, well, I started with full contact karate, but now I'm practicing a style that's kinda based on kung fu, I think? So I'm trying to watch their moves and see if it can help me to figure out how to sharpen all of my techniques and stuff, but their stuff is just going over my head. Hey, a fellow full contact karateka and a fellow newbie Chinese martial artist? What are the odds? Name's Katsumi Orochi, director of Shinshin Kaikon Karate. You? Oh, Koga Narashima. So wait, you look like you're my age, but you're already a director of your style's organization and you're learning kung fu? Sure am. I'm even technically in the same lineage as that old guy down there. He's my master's master. Maybe after the fight I can try to help you out with your style and stuff? Maybe give you a couple of hints? Whoa, really? Yeah, sure, sounds great. In the meantime, faced with an incredibly bad situation, Nikaido has devised a new plan. Nikaido can't win a battle of attrition, and Ryu has already figured out his plan to level the playing field with Fa Jin. But there's one technique specific to Heavenly Wolf Fist that could work here. Lan. Nikaido leaps forward and uses his good arm to unleash a barrage of Fa Jin strikes at almost a jab-like speed. The plethora of strikes was antithetical to Nikaido wanting to avoid trying to wear Ryu down due to being in worse condition, and the use of Fa Jin would normally just lead to Ryu countering as before, but in peppering Ryu with Fa Jin strikes, combining both strategies, Nikaido struck too fast to counter and hard enough to successfully wear Ryu down. This was the power of blending with Japanese martial arts. This was the power of adaptation and modernization. This was the power of the Fist of the Heavenly Wolf. The moment the barrage let up, Ryu attempted to spring into offense to not allow Nikaido to dictate the pace of the fight, but Nikaido was gone. He had completely disappeared. Was this a trick? Was this some kind of Japanese martial arts? Was this some kind of battlefield camouflage? No. Nikaido had simply dropped to the floor. And once Ryu realized and looked downward, Nikaido sprang up and struck Ryu with the last-ditch kick-up right in the face.
He's down! Ryu Kaioh has been knocked unconscious and has fallen to the ground! It's over! We have a winner! The winner of the Kung Fu Hustle is the Watchman Nikaido Ren!
I'm surprised. It seemed like the old man had it in the bag. I was reading each move, and everything was in the old man's favor the whole time. Then Nikaido started that barrage, and it was like the old man was completely lost. Not sure I get it. It was when Nikaido used his lawn technique from the Heavenly Wolf Fist style. It was a technique that Kaioh was unfamiliar with from a style that he both thought he understood and underestimated. The lawn technique covered both weaknesses of Nikaido's prior approach, and the Kaioh wasn't expecting one singular technique to be capable of turning the tides of such a difficult position. He was unable to adapt to the situation, and was then blindsided. Agito, glad to see you're doing alright. Are you alright? You aren't looking so well. Maybe we should...
Yeah, that's the problem with us old dogs. We have a tendency to throw ourselves into our set ways and get real stubborn about thinking we always know what's right. Like they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. When Nikaido made the fight about old versus young and tradition versus modern at the beginning, whether Ryu realized it or not, or even whether Nikaido himself knew, in Ryu's mind, it became a battle of pride, with the Beijing Temple's reputation on the line. He certainly took the calm and wise approach of a master of his years, and he certainly outclassed Nikaido in Kung Fu specifically, but like the Fang said, when Nikaido started to use the fruits of his style's adaptation and fusion with Japanese martial arts, Ryu was lost. He didn't know how to change his plan. He couldn't adapt. Because of his stubbornness and adherence to tradition, it was like he got pushed into the deep end. It's the only downside to decades of experience, which is why I've tried my hand at so many different martial arts in my long, long life. Agito and Roland nodded in agreement and acknowledgement, but Agito stepped away from the conversation before Roland got a chance to follow up with Agito on the concerning state of his condition. My apologies, Master. You were exceptional. I was wrong about your capabilities. You aren't a Shaolin monk. You're a warrior. As I was wrong about you. Your skills have given me a great hope for the next generation. Perhaps, like our ancestors, we too must forego our strict adherence to tradition in order to create a martial art that reigns supreme over all others. This is the true essence of Chinese martial arts. Fight conclusion.
Winner by last-ditch kick-up 3 minutes and 8 seconds into the match, the Watchman, Nikaido Ren. Injury sustained, minor nerve damage to the left arm, and a fractured sternum. Special thanks to everyone that voted. I see a lot of people downplay Ryu as a jobber, and he definitely was just a jobber for Yujiro there, but too many people conflate being a jobber with being weak. Like, what the fuck was Ryu supposed to do against the strongest guy in the entire verse? Dimes to dollars he would have put work on anyone else in that tournament except for maybe Oliva and Kaku. Being Retsu and Dorian's master at that point in the series was a serious accolade. It was meant to be a subversion of expectations that someone so strong lost so easily to Yujiro. That said, without any other fights to go off of, Ryu's unfortunately a statement merchant, whereas Nikaido, due to his being able to somewhat keep up with base Kiryu, save for Kiryu surprising him with Blink and Rashasuka's palm, would be a seriously strong contender even up to the Raitai and Baki. Honestly, just based on my personal interpretation of the narrative, I think Ryu is probably stronger than Nikaido, but I can't in good conscience use that personal interpretation with no actual concrete feats or direct statements to prove it. Alright, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Your support greatly helps the channel, and I'll try to get Kengan Maximum videos out more often in the coming months. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time for Kyozan vs. Ron Shoban, Speed vs. Power. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!